Hello and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing how I created this realistic pie and chips cake, complete with a side of peas and of course not forgetting the gravy. Before we dive in, I just wanted to give a shout out to Rochelle Johnson, who recently became my 1000th subscriber. I want to thank her and everyone else who subbed, liked and given such kind comments on all my videos, especially my meringue video, which recently got 40,000 views. That's crazy, so thank you everyone. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, just hit the button below, and if you don't want to miss a video, turn on the bell and select all notifications. Now, let's get back to the cake. Here, I've baked a 5-inch vanilla cake. I've allowed it to cool completely at room temperature and then wrapped it and popped it into the fridge to chill. This just makes it so much easier to carve and work with. I'm just dividing it into two and then I'm going to fill it with my super easy 3-ingredient vanilla buttercream and some raspberry jam. This is one of my favourite flavours. You sometimes just can't beat a classic. I then begin removing the caramelisation from the sides and follow the hump of the cake to round out that top edge. This will actually become the bottom of the cake when I decorate it. For now, I'm leaving it this way and giving it a crumb coat to trap in all the crumbs and to give my fondant a nice smooth surface to stick to. This small cake was so tricky to work with, I ended up inserting a skewer just so that it wouldn't run away. I've used a flexible fondant smoother just to help polish off those curved edges, and then this is going to go back into the fridge to chill and harden up a little. While it's chilling, I'm going to make my peas. I've dyed my fondant the perfect pea colour and I'm simply going to break off small pieces and roll into a ball. One down, many to go. If you're not a fan of fondant, you could also make these from modelling chocolate. Now I've got a really good portion of peas, so let's bake some chips. For these, I've made a basic sugar cookie dough, which I'll pop the recipe in the description box below, and it's been chilling in the fridge for about an hour. To roll these out to a nice even thickness, I have these handy rolling pin guides and I'm going to stand them up so I get a nice thick dough for my chips. Right now it may look like I'm just trimming the excess in a bit of a haphazard way, but trust me, there is a method to my madness. When I cut strips out of the dough, the ends have a more realistic chip shape. For the larger ones, I just chop them in half and they go onto a baking tray and they'll go into a preheated oven on 170 degrees for around 12 to 14 minutes until they come out perfectly golden. While they're still hot, I carefully gather them into the middle and sprinkle with sugar to resemble salt. The heat from the cookies will slightly melt the sugar and as it cools, it will stay on the biscuit. I now have my peas and my chips, so I need to turn my attention back to the pie and get it covered in fondant. Now I'm going to start off with a very pale pastry colour, and I got this by adding a little ivory, paprika and egg yellow food dye, and then I'm going to airbrush it after to give it that really realistic cook look. I begin with covering the dome shape, but when I trim away the excess, I'm going to leave about 1 centimetre extra. Then, when I turn it over and add the lid, I can crimp like so and treat it as if I was actually making a pie. Now, I'm sure there is a completely more professional way to crimp an edge, but I'm not a pastry chef, so this is the Jen method. To add a finishing touch, I cut out 3 leaf shapes and add these to the top. So there are a few ways that you could add depth and colour to the cake. I absolutely love using my airbrush, but if you don't have one, you could also use edible dusts or even food gels or paste diluted with the food grade alcohol. So I start off using an ivory, and this just gives it a nice even baked colour. I then switch to brown and I'm going to focus this on the areas that would naturally brown if it was baked in the oven, so all around the crust and not forgetting those little leaves too. I'm also going to use some of that brown to really define the crimp and make it stand out. I'm so happy with the way that the pie looks, and now I have all my elements to the cake. So it's the absolute favourite part, putting it all together. So I've decided to serve this on a dinner plate to add to the illusion of the cake. But if you wanted something edible, you could make it from sugar paste, or you could pop it straight onto a decorated cake board. In my piping bag, I've mixed up a very simple icing, and I'm just going to use this to make sure that everything stays put. Carefully, I'm going to position my pie first right at the back, and then I'm going to ice my chips into place. For the peas, I drizzle the icing onto the plate and then stick them on as evenly as I can. I'm just going to keep on adding until I'm really happy with the overall look. This looks fab, and you could easily present the cake like this, but I'm going to go a step further and add some gravy over the top. So I had a little look around my cupboards and I had this toffee and chocolate sauce. I thought if I mainly put in toffee with just a touch of chocolate, it would be the perfect colour. And it was! Plus it's the perfect consistency too, so let's add it to the cake. I was also thinking that a nice idea would be to package the gravy separately and then allow the recipient to pour it over themselves. How fun would that be? It would definitely make it a cake to remember. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you'd like to see more realistic food cakes, click the playlist above. And for my most recent video, click below. Thanks for watching!